All right, we are recording, and this is the self defense, your immunity and your advantage. Guys, this is an awesome topic. We know how important our immune system is when it comes to health, vitality, protecting ourselves from disease. So, we are going to dive into what the immune system is and how to make sure that we are making ourselves bulletproof when it comes to sickness and disease. So, we're going to jump right into it. If you're new, my name is Dr. Brenda Long. I am a Max Living chiropractor here in Norman, Oklahoma, and we have been serving patients for over 13 years, working with thousands and thousands of patients, been able to see some incredible results. And part of Max Living and the 5 Essentials is really to help empower people to live healthier, vibrant lives through the power of chiropractic care and the 5 Essentials of Max Living. So we are going to really unpack the idea of building the immune system and how to make sure that we are protecting ourselves and our families. But what is the immune system? The immune system is such a vital role in fighting disease, causing germs, pathogens like bacteria, viruses, parasites, and fungi, removing them from the body, recognizing and neutralizing harmful substances from the environment, and fighting disease causing that change in the body, such as cancer cells. So the immune system consists of individual specialized defense cells, proteins, entire organs, and organ systems designed to keep us alive. Our immune system is pretty important, and it is pretty amazing when you really dive into what it works. But so how it works, basically the immune system uses things like it uses things to detect antigens, which are toxins or foreign substances that create disease. White blood cells called B lymphocytes produce antibodies that work to fight off the foreign invaders. These antibodies stay in a person's body and act like a germ recognizer, so that if a body faces the specific antigen again, antibodies are ready to tag that antigen as a bad. So T cells then come and attack and destroy those antigens, and these cells work together and they comprise of our immune system. So antibodies also can neutralize toxins so that they don't harm our system. So it's not just foreign invaders, but it's even toxic particles that our immune system is in charge of recognizing and then destroying or safely removing from our system. All these cells and part of the immune system provide protection that the body against disease. So the idea is that our immune system is very intelligent. Its job is to consistently recognize pathogens and then activate the immune cells that recognize, tag them, and then destroy them. And this happens on a consistent basis. So the innate versus acquired immunity. So your innate immune system is really part of the immune system that you were just born with. It's God-given. It's really what technically is your first line of defense. So when you think of your innate immune system, think of stuff like your skin, the mucosal layer, digestive enzymes, the internal defense, and the external defense. This is what protects, us against inflammation and obviously like different, pathogens. So when you think like first line of defense, it's your skin. So when you come in contact with germs, your skin is obviously a protective layer of cells that protect you from the external environment. But on your skin, you actually have part of your immune system is bacteria, and you have good bacteria on your skin, which is really the initial line of defense against external pathogens or external germs. That's just why it's so important that you do not want to use antibacterial hand sanitizer or antibacterial soaps, because you're basically weakening your initial line of defense. Now, your mucosal layer is also critical important. So then the next step besides your skin is, you're breathing in pathogens through the nose, through the mouth. So you have specific hairs, you have specific mucosal layers. Your lungs are filled with mucosal lining. And so this is what's, again, being the first line of defense to stop the germ or the pathogen from really getting into the system. So this is stuff that you're just born with. The acquired immunity is something that your body learns and develops. So these are like your body building antibodies. So when you come in contact with a virus, part of your immune system that tags it, that says, hey, this is an external invader. This is something that we don't want. This is something that we want to kill. And then you have your other T cells that will come and destroy it, and then they build memory. So the next time you come in contact with that same bacteria or same virus or same pathogen, that your body already has this army built to attack them. And so that's typically where you don't get sick from the same thing, because your body has that just acquired immunity. So those are the two. I mean, if you were to break it down really simple, those are the two basic parts of your immune system. You have the innate, which is stuff that just babies are born with. And then you have, as your body is exposed to different sicknesses, pathogens, viruses, bacteria, your body builds that innate immune system, or your body builds that acquired immune system. So it's constantly learning. This is one of the other reasons why you'll hear, especially specialists in the health world talk about why it's so important for your kids to be exposed to germs. One of the worst things you can do is basically just disinfect the entire life of the child. So when they're out there playing in the dirt, when they're out there playing in the grass, there are studies that show that the kids that are raised with animals like dogs, that they're exposed to the dog germs and stuff, that they have a higher strengthened immune system. So what we don't want to do is just completely, disinfect the environment. We want to allow our immune systems to learn how to fight off and to build defense against these different germs and viruses and bacteria. So this is critically important, that our immune system is constantly learning. Think of it like a muscle. The more that you're exposed to different viruses and bacteria, the stronger your immune system is going to get. So that is critically important, just the understanding of that. Now, something I really want to break down is the germ theory versus the terrain theory. And I'm going to use the lens of the COVID experience to kind of illustrate this as well. But the medical system is very dogmatic in their approach to sickness and disease when they use the germ theory. And the germ theory is from Louis Pasteur. Back in the day, he decided that the exposure to unseen microorganisms, germs, are what led to the sickness or to the disease. At the same time, there was an opposing theory called the terrain theory. And that theory really stated that the risk of getting sick more so depended on the amount of exposure to the virus and how much that virus impacts your immune system and how strong your immune system is. So it was a combination of the amount of viral load you're exposed to, or the germ load you're exposed to, as well as the resistance of the host. So this really illustrates the idea of why some people get sick and some don't. So again, getting back to the idea of COVID, some people, when they got exposed to COVID, they got extremely sick and some died. But there was a significantly higher amount of people that got exposed to COVID and just got kind of sick, or some of them didn't express symptoms at all. So why is it that some people would get sick and die and some people don't? Here's another illustration, but you have 10 kids in a classroom and they're all sharing germs. They're all touching the same doorknobs. They're coughing and sneezing on each other, all the gross things. And, 5 of them get sick, 5 of them don't. Why is that? Well, if it was the germ theory, then it would just be that everybody got sick, that everybody got exposed to the germ, everybody would get sick. The terrain theory really differentiates that it's not just the exposure to the germ, but it's the resistance of the host. And that would really articulate why is it that some people get sick and some people don't. It's because it's the resistance of the host. It's the strength of the immune system. And this is one of the things that frustrated so many health professionals when it came to the COVID thing, is that they were so focused on the germ, the virus, and eliminating your exposure. This is the whole, self-isolate, wear the mask, 6 feet of distance in between each other, don't hug your relatives, you can't be around people. That was the fear created by the germ theory. That really frustrated so many health professionals because there was zero focus on how do we strengthen the immune system? How do we increase our terrain against the virus? Because we know that comorbidities, being sick, being unhealthy, is really what led to people getting ultra sick or even dying from the virus. people that didn't have comorbidities, people that were healthy, people that had strong immune systems, those people were either they didn't expose any symptoms at all, or they had very mild cases of it. And so if the germ theory were correct, there would be nobody left alive to believe in it. This is a quote from Dr. B.J. Palmer. He was the developer of chiropractic. He was one of the main guys that understood the importance or the differential between the germ theory and the terrain theory. In chiropractic, one of the main things that we focus on in our philosophy is understanding that it's the resistance of the host that really determines whether we get sick or not. It's not just the exposure to the germ, but it's how our body is able to adapt to an environment. That's really what we believe. But what you believe in will determine what your actions are. So if you believe that you are going to get sick from exposure, then you won't do anything to increase your immune system. And this is such the propaganda in mainstream media, in the mainstream medical system, is that they believe that the only way you could protect yourself was to self-isolate, was to wear a mask, to decrease your exposure, to not be around people, and to get a vaccine, an artificial RNA RNA, mRNA vaccine. Like they put zero faith into your body's ability to heal. They put zero faith into your body's natural immunity. Yes, this was a novel virus in that we had never been exposed to it before. But again, now looking back at it, the resistance of the host, the strength of the immune system, the body's ability to adapt was incredible for most people, especially if they didn't have these comorbidities. But again, what they were trying to get us to believe is that you were weak, you had no ability to adapt to this environment or to the virus, that you had to stay isolated, you had to get a vaccine, there was no hope, there was nothing you could do on your own, you were a victim, and that you needed outside help. If you believe that, your actions will show it. So further examples, like if you believe that the pharmaceutical company and the medical system is really what healthcare is, then you're just going to wait till you get sick, and then you're going to just go into the medical system by getting drugs or getting surgery. Whereas, what we believe is that if we can focus on building our immune system, if we can work on building our health, and that's what's going to protect us, and that's what's going to allow us to live healthy, long lives free of sickness and disease. But if you believe that your heart disease or your cancer or your diabetes is genetic, and that you're just going to inherit whatever diseases that your family or your parents had, then you will spend zero energy, zero resources in trying to promote health. If you believe that obesity is genetic, that you're going to be obese because your parents are obese, you'll put zero energy and effort and resources into getting healthy, into having, healthy weight. If you believe that, inflammation is the bad guy, and that when you get a fever, the fever is the bad guy, if you believe those things, then you are going to take the action of running to the pharmaceutical company and taking a medication. You're going to be taking Tylenols, ibuprofens, you're going to be doing these things to reduce the fever, because you believe that the fever is bad. If you sprain your ankle and you have inflammation in your ankle, you believe, if you believe that the inflammation is bad, you're going to take ibuprofen or Tylenol to reduce the inflammation. If you believe that your body is intelligent, and if you believe that the body is doing the right thing at the right time, if you believe that the fever is your immune system activating to kill off invaders, viruses, and bacteria, then you won't run and get a bunch of Tylenol or ibuprofen. You won't be fighting against your innate intelligence. You will be allowing your body to run its course. Same thing with your ankle. If you have inflammation in your ankle, you don't want to fight the inflammation if you believe that the inflammation is your body's intelligence trying to heal the damage. You're going to allow the body to run its course. So what I'm trying to get at is, you either can believe that your body is weak and susceptible, and that you're programmed for disease, and that you need outside in help with drugs and surgery, or you can believe that your body is intelligent, and that you have God-given innate that is going to protect you, and that your immune system is there and designed to protect you from sickness and disease, but you have influence in promoting and protecting and building that innate and working with that immune system. So you can work with your body's intelligence, or you can work against it. That's the idea. But what you believe will determine on what your actions are. And so what I'm really trying to help even with this is to help you understand the science behind that your body is intelligent and that your immune system is doing the right thing, and you have so much influence over it. If you just put some energy and focus and resources into your health, health will be the outcome. That's one of the major differences. If you go to the current medical paradigm, it's not really healthcare, it's sickness and it's disease care. If you have diabetes and you go to the medical doctor, you will always have diabetes. That system is not designed to cure you or to get you healthy. It is designed to manage your disease process. That's why they put zero energy, effort, and focus into prevention or to building wealth. Building health. Health is wealth. But in a real healthcare industry, like in our clinic, in Max Living offices, in other offices like this, our goal is designed to increase your body's health, to promote health. If we focus on health and not disease, we build health. That's the idea, is that healthy people don't need drugs. Healthy people don't get disease. So what do we do instead? Well, we want to focus on supporting the immune system with the 5 essentials. So understanding how important nutrition is to your immunity. If you're eating a standard American diet with refined foods, sugars, bad oils, your body is going to be sick. What we want to shift to is more of a whole food, nutritious, ideology as far as being able to build health. You are what you eat. And if we can understand that health or nutrition is more about building health versus nutrition is just about like eating food. If you believe that your nutrition plays a role in your overall health, then you will tend to lean more toward, again, a healthy, whole food based nutrition strategy. So these are the 3 main foods that will destroy your immune system. And they should look familiar because this is like the standard American diet. It's lots of sugars, it's damaged oils, and it's refined grains. These are like your breads, your pastas, everything that you would see kind of like in just restaurants is these things right here. It's refined grains. And this is also, when I say refined grains, I'm also talking about like the toxicity in these grains, like the GMOs that are on them, the glyphosites. So that's number 1, is these refined grains. These things break down, they turn to sugars, they create massive inflammation. They wreck your health, they destroy your immune system, they cause increased weight gain. We know how bad they are for, cardiovascular health. Refined grains, sugars, these things are what feed cancers. So just know that these are the main things that you've got to avoid if you want to have a healthy, strong immune system. So there's a lot of research out there, and I might post some follow-up videos to this, but the effects of sugar on the immune system, even just like an immediate response. If you consume sugar, it decreases your immune system. It blocks your T cells' ability to function. So if you consume sugar, it decreases your immune system for like, specifically, I think it's like it decreases like 30% for up to 3 hours. So that's a huge amount just by consuming sugar. But if you do that regularly, like if you wake up and you have some sort of sugary breakfast, donuts, cereals, whatever, like you're immediately weakening your immune system. Bad oils, like hydrogenated or partially hydrogenated oils, which are in like everything in a bag, every chip, every cookie, everything that's in a bag, any sort of like processed food is going to have refined oils in it. These things create massive inflammation. One of the things that they do is they inflame the outer cell layer, the cell membrane, the lipid bilayer. They create cellular inflammation, and it creates very difficulty in respiration in the cell. So they weaken you on a cellular level, and they create an environment that's very susceptible, very weak. So it weakens your terrain to allow viruses and bacteria to gain control. So if you want to have a weak immune system, consume lots of sugar, bad oils, and refined grains. So on the flip side of that, when we talk about like meat products specifically, quality makes a huge difference. So if you were going to invest 1 extra penny into better nutrition, I would really highly recommend investing in products that are higher on the food chain. So you've heard that saying, like, you are what you ate. Well, the new saying is you are what you ate. Okay, so if the meat products that you're consuming are fed GMO corn, pesticide-ridden grass, I mean, if you're consuming all this bad, sick product, then you're going to get sick too. Okay. So if you're not getting grass fed or grass finished beef, just know that the meat is highly inflammatory, which is going to create an inflammatory response, which is going to weaken your immune system. Same thing with fish. Like you really need to go with like, like wild caught fish. What you don't want is farm raised, because again, the animals just aren't that healthy. And so you're consuming animals that have been fed lots of antibiotics, steroids, hormones, all this sort of stuff. So grass fed, grass finished meat, beef, wild caught fish, free range or cage free chicken, eggs, meat, or poultry, eggs, like stuff like that. So that's what I would totally invest in when it comes to the hierarchy on your nutrition strategy. Now, with that, the next step is I would focus on the clean 15 versus the dirty dozen. The dirty dozen are foods that have lots of pesticides on them. So versus the clean 15, those are typically foods where you don't eat the outer layer, like an avocado or an onion. You peel that stuff off. And so you don't necessarily have to worry as much about getting organic product versus like the dirty dozen. So things like apples, grapes, strawberries, anything that you would eat the outer part of it, like those are things that you really, really want to lean to organic. So the top immune supporting nutrients. So let's go through some of the top things that are just critical that you need to consume to make sure you're activating your immune system. So zinc is one of the number ones. It became very, very popular, especially with the whole COVID issue. So zinc activates enzymes that break down proteins in viruses and bacteria, so they are less likely to spread. So what they found is that when a virus comes into the system, it's not really harmful until it integrates itself into the cell, and then it starts to replicate itself. So the viral load, how much replication the virus does, will kind of determine on how sick you get. Okay. So if you have a lot of viral replication, a high viral load, the sicker you're going to get. So zinc has been found to stop that viral replication. So if you have high levels of zinc in the system, even though you get exposed to the virus or the germ or whatever, it will have a hard time copying itself. So the zinc will limit the viral load. So zinc is critical. And that's one of the main things that they found when they looked at the COVID stuff, is that if you were consuming high levels of zinc, even though you might have got the COVID virus, it wasn't able to replicate very well. So it didn't have a high viral load. So you didn't really get that sick. Vitamin C. Most people recognize how important vitamin C is, but it's a super powerful cellular antioxidant that basically destroys free radicals. So free radicals are what's gonna really damage your body's DNA replication. So free radicals damage cells, and that's what allows your body to build itself sick. So vitamin C is a super powerful antioxidant that protects you against free radicals. It is also critical in white blood cell function. Vitamin C is utilized by white blood cells to activate and to kill off viruses and bacteria. And obviously, one of the best forms of vitamin C is calcium ascorbate, or a form of vitamin C that is also gentle on the stomach. So it is really critical to make sure you're getting a good version of vitamin C. Vitamin D, which technically is actually kind of more like a hormone, but it's essential for immune system as it modulates the response of innate and adaptive immune system. Every single immune cell needs a D3 molecule to activate it. Vitamin D regulates the immune system to down-regulate the expression of inflammatory cytokines. So one of the main issues with, again, going back to COVID, is it was creating a cytokine storm. This is an inflammatory storm. This is what makes you feel so bad. So vitamin D will make sure that those inflammatory storms do not get out of hand. So you've got to make sure you're doing a lot of vitamin D. In fact, vitamin D is one of those nutrients that is, especially in the US population, people are massively deficient. In fact, they found studies that show that if you can get your blood serum levels up over 60. So for example, let me go back. When they look at blood levels of vitamin D in the medical system, if your blood levels are over 30, they feel like you're in a normal or healthy range. Anything below that is like devastating. But in the health world, we want it to be 60 to 100. What they found is that you can get your blood serum levels up over 60. It can minimize like 83% of breast cancer. Vitamin D is so critical when it activates certain genes to destroy cancer cells. So you've got to make sure your vitamin D level is 60 to 100 to protect your immune system, to make sure it's strong and that it's fighting off viruses, bacteria, and things like cancer. Pro-NAC, N-acetylcysteine, precursor of an antioxidant, and glutathione. And glutathione is your body's master antioxidant. This inhibits oxidative damage, which in turn helps to maintain immune system function, suppresses viral replication. Again, this is a huge thing to stop viral loads from increasing, and it helps to reduce inflammation. So those are just absolutely critical when it comes to protecting your body against invaders. This is, again, what your body has to use to activate your immune system. So you've got to make sure you're taking these on a regular basis, but especially if you're sick. And I'll actually go through what we do for battling sickness in our house. So here's a couple other ones that I think are critical, and these are kind of the last two I'm going to talk about. But vitamin E is a fat-soluble antioxidant. This is essential for the immune system to function normally. It's found in higher concentrations in your immune cells than any other blood cell because they are at a higher risk of oxidative damage. So your immune cells have a higher amount of vitamin E because they need to be protected against oxidative damage. So this specifically, vitamin E will protect from excessive damage from infections and overall reactive immune responses. So again, you're going to get exposed to viruses consistently, bacteria consistently. So again, we don't want to necessarily just focus on just the exposure to the germ. What we want to do is we want to focus on our body's innate responses to the germ. So again, if you have a high enough level of vitamin E, or you're supplementing with vitamin E, it's going to protect you from the excessive damage from these different invaders. Selenium is an essential micronutrient that plays a vital role in the immune system's ability to protect against infection and inflammation. It boosts white blood cells. Selenium is one of the main things that actually increases white blood cell count. Selenium can help increase white blood cell count, which can improve the body's ability to fight illnesses and infection, activates immune cells. Selenium helps macrophages destroy pathogens. So macrophages is part of the immune system that really just gobbles up and destroys all these invading bacteria and viruses. It helps to regulate the immune system. It is involved in regulating excessive immune response and chronic inflammation. So like long COVID, people had issues with this, or they have chronic upper respiratory issues. You've got to make sure you're supplementing with all of these different supplements because it's going to downregulate the excessive inflammatory responses. It is critical for protecting DNA and cells, and it's an antioxidant, again, protecting the DNA and damage from oxidation. Guys, these are what I call like my top most important immune supporting nutrients, okay? Now, what I put together specifically, and this is what myself and my family take, is we take this immunity bundle. So I picked these specifically. One of the reasons why I like ours so much, though, is, so now I'll kind of break them down, but the cell repair is really what has your vitamin A, your vitamin E that I talked about, your selenium. These are the main things that build up the cell repair. So again, it's going to be critical to activate the immune system, but also to protect your immune cells from the inflammation, from the damage. Okay, so that's one of the most important ones. So vitamin D3, one of the reasons why I like ours is because it's a 5,000 IU supplement, plus it has 10 billion CFUs of probiotics for activation, plus gut health. Obviously, we know how important your gut is when it comes to immune system. So it has probiotics in there for support. A general multivitamin might have 500 IUs. It is not enough to build your immune system or to build your vitamin D levels up. You, on a minimum regular standard, you've got to make sure you're taking a minimum of 5,000 IUs, which would be one of the vitamin D3 pills here. But when I am sick, or if I feel I'm deficient, I will be taking 10 to 50,000 a day. Now, I talk to a lot of patients, and sometimes they'll say, hey, I went to my doctor. They said I was low in vitamin D, and they put me on a 50,000 IU once a week. That's just not enough, especially if you're sick. If you're sick, you need to be taking a minimum of 10,000 a day or 50,000 a day for maybe a week or two. I wouldn't do that long term. I think that we should take about 5,000 IUs every single day. But if you're feeling wore down or feeling like you're going to get sick, or you are sick, I would take between 10,000 and 50,000 a day to build up that vitamin D level so that your immune system is at its highest functioning level. So vitamin C, and again, this is that proper bioactive form of it. It also has quercetin in it, which is a huge activator of your immune system. That pro-NAC I talked about, which is going to downregulate the inflammatory responses. And then obviously we talked about zinc, which is critical for suppressing that viral load replication. So these are what I would consider the most important supplements when it comes to supporting your immune system. So for the next week or two in the office, we're going to have them on sale. So make sure you go in and you grab your immune support supplements. They're going to be 20% off in the office. So make sure you're getting your support. So let's continue on though. So exercise is critical for building healthy resilience and healthy cells in general. The research shows that when people consistently exercise, one of the benefits is that creates lots of great circulation. So it circulates nutrients and oxygen to every cell tissue in the entire body, but it's also going to be able to get out bad cells. So your body's constantly destroying bad cells, whether it's rogue cells that just need to be destroyed, they're weak or they're old or whatever, or they're viral external cells that you're getting exposed to. Exercise is going to help circulate that stuff out of your system. So it's critical. What they also found is that exercise while you're sick is really good for recovery. Now, there's a fine line. I don't want you to go out there and do a bunch of HIIT training if you're like really run down, because that'll kind of weaken you. But you got to do a little bit of movement if you can, so that way you can get that circulation going and you can improve your body's ability to get rid of all those bad cells. But just in general, like exercising on a regular basis has been proven to shorten exposures to sicknesses, flus, colds, you name it, versus people who don't exercise at all. Hydration is critical. We know that most of our body, most of our cells are water. But the reason I want to talk about this specifically, because it's not just hydrating with water. Especially now that we're going into the summer, it's getting a little bit hot. We're sweating a little bit more. We're perspirating. It is critical to not just make sure you're getting enough water, but you're getting enough electrolytes so that your body can retain that water. If you're sweating a bunch and you're just drinking water, you can actually cause increased dehydration because you're flushing even more electrolytes and minerals out of your system if you're just hydrating with just water. So one of the things that I do in our house and that what we do in the office is we do LMNT supplements. This is a LMNT drink. It's just a bunch of electrolytes. One of the reasons I like it is because it's really clean. So there's not a bunch of fillers. I don't recommend Gatorade. I don't recommend what's the other one? Gatorade? Isn't there another one? Powerade. I don't Gatorade or Powerade, or even things like Pedialyte. It's just there's a bunch of toxins, sugars, artificial sweeteners in there, all the stuff that you don't need. So hydrate with an LMNT drink. They make packets that you can just put in water that taste really good and they're really clean. Or just put so every morning, what I'll do is I'll do my apple cider vinegar with some lemon and water, and I'll do a little bit of pink Himalayan sea salt. Again, getting the minerals and electrolytes that I need to make sure my body stays hydrated. So that's critical when it comes to hydration. It's really important too to make sure you're finding your routine. So when I say routine, I mean like health routine in general. Like, so all these different changes, like getting some exercise, getting adjusted, taking your supplements, just having better like plans for your nutrition, which would involve planning like more like at home cooking versus going out to eat. So it's important to build a routine, because what you want to do is you want to try to eliminate your decision-making energy. What you don't want is in the moment have to decide, I'm going to do this versus do this, because that's tiring. Like if you have to decide every day to try to make sure you're taking your supplements, you have to make a decision like, oh, should I work out? Should I not work out? Should I try and squeeze in a workout? Should I try to remember to take my supplements? Like what you don't want to do is try to rely on that idea of like, I have to put energy into a decision power. What you want is just be it in your routine. So like on your schedule, you don't have to decide if you're going to work out because you've already planned it. You've already decided, okay, this is part of my routine. I'm just going to do it. I'm going to wake up. I'm going to do my rehab. It's part of my routine. I don't have to put energy into thinking, should I do my rehab today? So make sure you're just planning the routine. This is when you take your supplements. So that's kind of, and when I plan my exercise, when I'm doing my spinal rehab, things like that. So, but on the other side, what I'm talking about specifically is having a routine for when you are sick. Okay. When you get sick, when you get run down, what is it that you do? So making sure you have a plan. So some of the things that I'm going to talk about is prioritizing sleep. When I get sick, I just go to bed. I take my supplements and then I rest. It is incredible how important sleep is. When you sleep is when you do all of your cellular regeneration. When you sleep is when your immune system ramps up. It's shown that when you sleep, your nerve system increases, it ramps up, and your body is in this like massive like healing regeneration mode. Here's the problem though. If you are subluxated, if your body is out of alignment and your nerve system has interference in its communication, it's going to try to ramp up and go into that state of healing, but it's going to be minimized because there's interference in that communication. That's one of the reasons why getting your spine alignment assessed, looking for postural distortions, getting exams, x-rays, finding out if there's misalignments or subluxations that's interfering with your nerve pathway is such an important and critical aspect of your overall health. Because as important as sleep is, if your body is subluxated or out of alignment, the nerve system interference, it's not going to be able to ramp up and your immune system's not going to be activated like it should be. But you'd be surprised how much of a health hack, an immune hack, it's getting an extra 9 or maybe 10 hours of sleep if you're sick. So this is something that I would say is almost more beneficial than, almost anything when it comes to just getting your immune system and getting the recovery done. Detoxification is critical. It's not as important when it comes to being sick, like switching from plastic containers to glass containers isn't that big of a deal if you are sick. But in general, if you can take toxins out of your environment, your immune system will be stronger in general for it. I highly recommend go back and watch our last webinar, which was on toxicity and how to get toxins out of your environment so that it's not creating disease. But so here's just kind of a review of what we did in that last webinar, but it's choose organic foods when possible, grass-fed, grass-finished organic meats, cold water or wild-caught fish, consume raw organic dairy if you don't have a dairy intolerance, avoid processed foods as much as possible, use clean household or clean cleaning products, eliminate plastics, filter air and your water, and then just avoid smoking and excess drinking. Those things are kind of the biggest, top layer that we talked about in that last. So again, minimizing toxins. Not that these are going to make a huge difference when you're sick, but again, this is just something that will really help to empower your immune system and empower your terrain long term. So I want to go through a couple things, and this is where I feel like people really have a lack of understanding. While taking a supplement like zinc is critical, while taking vitamin C is just super important, it is not near as powerful as an adjustment. And so there's a couple studies that I want to go through. One of the most important studies was performed by Dr. Ronald Peru, PhD, Chief of Cancer Prevention Research at New York Preventative Medicine Institute and a professor of medicine at New York University. It showed a positive effect that chiropractic care can have on the immune system and the general health. So this is kind of the breakdown of the study. What they showed is that they measured the immune system people under chiropractic care as compared to those in the general population, those with cancer and other serious diseases as well. So kind of two different parts of the study. In the initial 3-year study, 107 individuals who were under chiropractic care for 5 years or more, and that's really important to understand, they were in regular wellness chiropractic care. Okay, so they weren't just going in getting their back cracked once every 6 months when their back goes out. These are people that were utilizing chiropractic care for wellness. So the chiropractic patients were found to have a 200% greater immunity competence than those who had not been receiving chiropractic care. Now, then that's incredible all on its own. 200% greater immunity competence. So that means that then when they got exposed to viruses and bacteria or germs or whatever, that they'd have a significantly higher competency where their immune system was able to protect them from that exposure. The other part of it is that they had a 400% greater immunity competence than those that with cancer or serious diseases. So obviously when someone has cancer or other serious disease, they have compromised immune system. And so what it found is that getting adjusted was a 400% greater immunity than those that were sick. So what I'm saying is that getting adjusted regularly has one of the most profound impacts on strengthening your immune system. So another study by Patricia Brennan, PhD, leading team in research conducted a study that found improved immune response in her test subject following chiropractic treatment. The study specifically demonstrated the phagocyte respiratory burst of polymorphonuclear neutrophils and monocytes were enhanced in adults that had been adjusted by a chiropractor. So what it was saying is that those cells that destroy all the bad bacteria and viruses had a huge impact in increased respiratory burst when they were getting adjusted. There was another study done by Life Chiropractic University that was produced by Dr. Sid Williams in 1994. This study is really crazy. I don't understand how more people don't understand how the medical system doesn't talk about this. But this study was done in 1994. The research took a group of HIV positive patients and adjusted them over a 6-month period. What they found was that the patients that were adjusted had a 48% increase in the number of CD4 cells, which is part of the immune system that kills off viruses. This measurement were taken at the patient's independent medical center. They were found under medical supervision. So basically, it was done by an external medical center that was measuring these responses. But the control group, the patients that were not adjusted, these HIV patients that were not adjusted, they demonstrated a decrease by 7.69% in their CD4 cells. In fact, they actually had to stop the study because they felt it was unjust to the patients that weren't getting adjusted. So the patients that were getting these HIV patients, which is, remember, the HIV, their immune system is getting destroyed. The HIV patients actually had an increase in their immune system by 48%. The patients that weren't getting adjusted over the 6 months had a degradation or a decrease in their immune system by almost 8%. So it just goes to show how critical it is on getting adjusted in the improvement in your immune system. And then this is a study that I talk about a lot in the office, but there was a study done in 1918. So in Davenport, Iowa, 50 medical doctors treated almost 5,000 cases of this the swine flu. So out of 5,000 cases, 274 deaths. In the same city, 150 chiropractors, including students at the chiropractic college, treated 1,600 patients and only 1 death. In the state of Iowa, medical doctors treated 93,000 patients with 6,000 deaths. A loss of 1 patient out of every 15. So the medical system was treating all these flu patients, and the result was 1 out of every 15 patients died. In the exact same time, in the exact same state, Davenport, 4,700 patients that were treated in chiropractic care, only 6 passed away. So that's 1 loss out of every 789. Guys, it's such a drastic study. So in overall, like out of 10,000 cases in influenza, 900 died in the medical system, but out of 10,000, only 25 deaths in chiropractic care. Because every time these patients are getting adjusted, it's boosting their immune system. It's increasing their body's resistance. It's focusing on improving the terrain versus just trying to treat the sickness with drugs or whatever. So again, it just goes to show every study shows that every time you're getting adjusted, your immune system is getting stronger and stronger and stronger. This is one of the reasons why out of the tens and thousands of patients that we've been seeing over the course of the almost 15 years in practice, why most of our patients are here long term. They're in wellness care. They're getting adjusted once a week, every other week, or maybe once a month, but they're consistently getting adjusted because it's not that they just have reoccurring back pain. It's because they understand the importance of getting adjusted when it comes to their overall health, well-being, and improving their immune system. Every time someone gets sick or they talk about getting sick, you'll hear us in the office say, hey, you got to get in, you got to get an extra adjustment, you got to get your immune system boosted. And when they do that, we find that how long or how sick they get is drastically decreased. So understanding the subluxation and the misalignments in the spine, every area of your spine, that nerve system goes to a specific area of the body. So each nerve controls a different part of your system, organ systems or organ function. And so on this far right column, you can kind of see the effects a misalignment might have as far as creating a symptom. So if someone has headaches, it's not that they have a lack of ibuprofen, even though that's what the medical system is going to tell them is to take more drugs to treat their headaches. It's not a deficiency in medication. It could be that there's a misalignment in the upper part of their neck that controls, say, blood flow and oxygen to the brain. And that just goes down and down. If people have misalignments in the middle part of their neck, that might be causing neck spasms. That might be causing pain. That goes to their vocal cords. It goes to their thyroid. So if there's pressure on the nerve going to the thyroid, it would make sense that their thyroid would be weak or dysfunctional. In the medical world, they'll see that and they'll try and give you a drug by labeling you with the disease. But what we found is that by correcting subluxations in the neck, getting pressure off that nerve system, allowing that life energy to flow, it has the ability to improve that area of the body, like improving how their thyroid functions. Same thing with the nerves in the lower back, going to the digestive system. Again, from here, it's just basic anatomy. If you have a subluxation somewhere in your spine, it has the potential to be creating damage or causing a symptom. And these are different warning signs that you might have a subluxation. Now, a lot of you watching this are already current patients and you're getting adjusted. And part of the reason I'm going through this is there's so many people out there that are sick and suffering, taking dangerous medications, and that they have no idea about chiropractic care and the benefits on the immune system or what getting adjusted can do for them. So if you know someone that has headaches, menstrual issues, blood pressure. So for instance, the medical journal, the Journal of Hypertension, published a study that showed that getting adjusted in the upper part of your neck, where your parasympathetic nerve system comes from, has the ability to lower blood pressure by 18 points on average, better than 2 different medications, including lisinopril. We know that misalignments in the upper part of the neck can cause depression because it affects blood pooling in the venous plexus. So people get adjusted. They notice that they have an increase in their mood, their body's ability to regulate their mood. Numbness and tingling, that's obviously a pinched nerve. If you have numbness and tingling going into the hand or going down into the leg, that could be numbness or a pinched nerve in your neck or your lower back. Neck pain, dizziness, fatigue, acid reflux. A lot of patients coming in that have acid reflux, subluxations in the upper part of their back that control how their body regulates stomach acid. They get adjusted, and now all of a sudden their stomach can regulate the acid appropriately, and so they stop needing medications or drugs because their body is healthy. Remember, healthy people don't need drugs. Instead of taking a drug to treat your symptom, what if we could find the cause of the problem and start to remove that interference and allow the body to heal? And then healthy people don't have symptoms. Healthy people don't have the need for medications. So asthma, allergies, ear infections, we see a lot of kids with ear infections. Again, going to the upper part of the neck, if that misaligns, it can change the shape of the eustachian tube, and that can allow more clogging and lead to things like ear infections. And again, getting adjusted boosts your immune system, which would help with viral infections or bacterial infections. Frequent colds and flus, constipation, pressure on the nerve going to the colon would obviously decrease the colon's ability to function appropriately. So that would lead to things potentially like constipation. Getting adjusted, oh my gosh, this helps so many people with digestive issues, sleep issues, and then skin issues. Guys, those are just some of the warning signs. So if you know anybody that has stuff like that, it would be a really good idea to send them in, let them get a health breakthrough evaluation. We can check their nerve system. We do very specific thermal imaging that locates areas of stress or inflammation on their nerve system, detecting areas of subluxation. We also do full spine digital x-rays to locate structural or postural distortions that are causing damage to the spine nerve system. So if you know anybody that needs to get in, send them in. We have new patient specialists constantly going on to allow them to get in, to get a full spine evaluation, to find out if their health issues are actually caused by a subluxation. And then obviously we can walk them through what it looks like to be a patient in the office and show them what it's going to look like to get adjusted or to implement the 5 essentials and what the potential is for their body to heal, to feel better, to have life of health and longevity, and to not need medications or protect themselves against sickness and disease. So again, it kind of closing this up, make sure you get your immune system go bag. This is what I have in my medicine cabinets. If I get sick, these are the things that I am taking. So make sure I'm protecting my immune system to build it up to fight whatever sickness or disease. So make sure you get your go bag. It's on sale, 20% off in the office. If you have any further questions, make sure you're getting in, asking that, sharing this with friends and family members. We look forward to seeing you and continue to help you build health and vitality and building your immune system. All right, guys, take care. 47 minutes.